Alright, the MVP curse must be a thing in the W too, because A'ja had the worst game I've seen from her in a very long time, and she along with the rest of the aces were smoking a lot of bunnies. But besides those, a lot of hers and the team's misses did stem from the Fever's defense, because they all took on their individual matchups, so credit to Stephanie White for trusting them to play ones. That meant there were rarely any instances of overhelping, because every player got to stay at home, and the most notable performance obviously came from Aaliyah for playing A'ja straight up the entire night. The one thing she did well was just staying vertical, because that forced A'ja to take tough shots over her size, and more importantly, it also limited A'ja's whistles, so she only finished with 5 free throw attempts. I could tell she was frustrated with the matchup because there was an instance late in the first where she had a cross match, but Dana Evans missed her on the duck-in, so Aaliyah got to scram it, and she subtly dropped her head when she noticed it was Aaliyah. I've never seen her react that way over any matchup, so that was surprising, but she was missing even when she had Timpson or Howard on her, and it could have been as simple as her having one of those off nights. Her easiest looks were from the Aces guards being able to create something for her in the pocket or on the drop-off, but even those were hard to come by because the Fever's guards were all over them, so they deserve just as much credit for their efforts and the way they were staying body to body constantly. Their fight over screens was saving the Fever's bigs from having to switch, because all the Fever's bigs had to do was show, then they would just quickly recover back in front of their matchup, and that was really how they were able to keep Aaliyah stuck to A'ja, so the Aces weren't getting many mismatches or openings in their screening actions. That's all without even mentioning the way the Fever's guards were shoulder to shoulder on drives, hard denying, and cleanly switching. So from top to bottom, this was one of the Fever's most impressive defensive performances, because it was against the hottest team in the W. But I can't say it was that surprising, because they've shown they're capable of this when they locked up the Lynx in the Commissioner's Cup final, and even less surprising was what Kelsey Mitchell was doing on the other end. As I've said before, she is the best shot maker in the W to me, because she does it efficiently on all 3 levels with or without a screen, and she really just needs a sliver of daylight to get her shot off, so when the Aces weren't keyed in on their defensive game plan against her, she made them pay, especially in the third. At least it did prove to work when they did execute it correctly, because they got stops when their bigs were showing or even switching in their screening actions, and when their nail help and their low man were ready. So there were a lot of possessions where she wasn't just getting to her spots or the rim as easily as she usually would when she turned the corner. But she was making the right pass when she did draw multiple bodies, so she was able to free up open looks for the others, and more importantly, she was able to combat the half court by pushing the rock in transition for quick buckets or whistles. That's really how her, Sims, and Lexi were able to put together that 12-2 run to end the third, and that was the most crucial stretch of the game, because not only did it dead the Aces' run, but it also shifted the momentum right back in their favor to maintain control entering the fourth, so the Aces had no chance of potentially running it back after that. If anything, they really had slim chances throughout the entire night because of their non-existent paint defense, and them allowing the Fever to constantly get easy ones, either by letting players slip behind them, not manning up against their matchup, not being ready to help, or just giving up open lanes from their bigs dropping against the other Fever guards not named Kelsey Mitchell, so that's got to be the main point of emphasis for them in Game 2 to salvage this type of loss. Just watch the tape.